Well, it's time now for a look at some of the day's business news with France 24's Cole Stangler. Hi, Cole.
Hey, Olivia.
Now, you're starting with a landmark settlement involving the consulting firm McKinsey.
That's right. It's a rare moment in which the firm is being held publicly accountable for the work it does with clients. McKinsey reportedly agreeing to pay some $573 million over its role in advising firms to, quote, supercharge opioid sales in the United States. The settlement is expected to be announced later today. It marks the latest effort to hold individual firms to account for their role in a crisis that has claimed the lives of some 450,000 people in the United States. Catherine Viette has more.
After going after the drug companies that make and sell the prescription opioids, state legislators are taking on the firms that helped market the drugs. It's a rare instance of public accountability and a black eye for consulting powerhouse McKinsey & Company after the firm agreed to pay $573 million for its role in helping Purdue Pharma turbocharge sales of OxyContin. Under the terms of the agreement, McKinsey will not admit to any wrongdoing, but will agree to court-ordered restrictions on some of its work. According to reporting in the New York Times, company documents show a proposed plan to offer rebates to distributors for every OxyContin overdose attributed to pills they sold. The deal, reached with 47 states, settles investigations and requires the company to pay $478 million within 60 days. Those civil penalties have been earmarked for opioid treatment, prevention, and recovery programs. The settlement follows a deal reached with Purdue Pharma in October, in which the company agreed to pay $8.3 billion and plead guilty to federal criminal charges. With the company now in bankruptcy proceedings, it's unclear when states will receive their funds. The Sackler family, who own Purdue, have also made their own deal with the federal government to pay $225 million in civil penalties. McKinsey's agreement with the states doesn't prevent the Biden administration from seeking legal action against the company.
Let's take a look now at some of the day's trading action. European index is hanging just around the flat line so far. The FTSE in London just under, seeing some slight gains on the CAC 40 here in Paris. And the DAX, Deutsche Bank reporting its first annual profit in 6 years there. Major Asian indexes, though, in negative territory. A hike in short-term interest rates in China weighing on investors. The Nikkei, Kospi, Hang Seng, and the Shanghai Composite all in the red, as you can see there.
And shifting to energy now, shares in oil giant Shell are also down after it reported a steep drop in profit.
That's right. The company reported earnings of around $4.8 billion for the full year 2020. That's down from $16.5 billion the prior year, coming, of course, as the pandemic shakes up the oil and gas industry worldwide. Shell and others in the sector have sought to reassure investors about their recovery. They say vaccine rollouts will help and expect fuel demand to swing back up to the second half of the year.
Yeah, once we're back moving, presumably. At the same time, though, electric car sales are on the up.
These latest figures come from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. It says more than 500,000 fully electric cars were sold across the EU last year. That's up 117% from 2019. A big factor, according to the group, was government subsidies designed to spur consumers toward the environmentally friendly vehicles. But analysts say prices will continue to drop, coming into line with standard models within the next few years.
Oh, that's good news. Well, next, the International Monetary Fund has new growth projections for the Middle East and North Africa.
They've been revised just slightly upward now. The IMF projecting growth of 3.1% this year and more than 4% next year. Rebound in oil prices expected to fuel the recovery. And so, too, though, are the various vaccine rollouts. But they also can make for an uneven return to growth. While a couple of the Gulf states are leading the world when it comes to vaccine distribution, other countries in the Middle East have yet to begin their campaigns.
See an uneven recovery because access to vaccine is different between countries. We have leaders like, for example, UAE and Bahrain, who are in the top 5 worldwide, but also we have laggards. We have countries who will not probably have more than 20% of their population by end of 2021 will have access to the vaccine. And our analysis is showing that the speed of access to vaccine could also accelerate the recovery. Therefore, the vaccine is very important.
Now to Brazil, one of the countries hardest hit by the pandemic and where the working class residents of Sao Paulo are taking matters into their own hands, launching their own banking system.
At this favela in Brazil, residents line up for a free meal.
Ainda estou passando muita necessidade. Muita necessidade. Por exemplo, agora mesmo, se eu quisesse R$1 para eu comprar combo, eu não teria.
The pandemic's toll on the economy has hit hardest in the country's slums, where many residents work jobs in the informal sector, such as housekeeping and babysitting. Many have been relying on the government's emergency benefit payments, but that program just ended after officials said it was too costly to continue. Most of those left struggling to make ends meet are excluded from the traditional banking system. According to a recent study, around 45 million Brazilians don't even have a bank account. So the favelas are fighting back. 10 of the biggest slums have come together to launch their own bank. Dubbed the G10 Bank, it's set to open later this month with initial funding of $335,000 from anonymous investors. Its mission to offer low-interest loans and debit cards to favela residents.
Primeira forma é oferecer crédito para empreendedores que gostariam de abrir seu próprio negócio ou que já têm o seu negócio. A segunda é oferecer oportunidade para que as famílias que precisam poder receber doações através do cartão.
Its goal to become the development bank of the favelas. Marie's Hands Bistro, which has been providing free meals to the community, plans to apply for a loan from the G10 Bank.
And finally, a firm backed by ex-soccer star David Beckham will soon make its debut on the London Stock Exchange. The firm known as Cellular Goods makes skincare products, but with a bit of a twist. Products are made from biosynthetic cannabinoids. That means they're grown in a lab, not grown from a plant. According to the firm's website, it plans to start sales in September. Also looks set to be the first firm making cannabinoids to be listed on the London Stock Exchange. But Olivia, clearly part here of a growing market of what are more commonly known as CBDs.
Oh, indeed. That's going to do them no harm, an endorsement from the Beckhams. Thank you very much for that business update, Cole. Do stay with us here on France 24. We'll be back with more live news in just a moment.